Should the United States throw a lifeline to the worst tyrant in the Western Hemisphere in order to undermine an even worse tyrant in Europe? The Biden administration has announced that it will ban imports of Russian oil and natural gas into the United States. This will raise some tricky questions, domestic and geopolitical, beginning with our relationship with the autocratic regime of Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela. The quantities affected by the new ban on Russian imports are not very large for either side. Russian oil typically accounts for something like 1% of U.S. oil consumption and 3% of U.S. oil imports, while the United States accounts for about 5% of Russian oil exports, not nothing, but not a make-or-break share for either party. Still, there are complications. The United States is the world's largest oil producer and one of the largest, in some months, the largest, exporters of oil, natural gas, and petroleum products. We produce about 20% more oil than second-place Russia does. But we also import a great deal of oil and other petroleum products for a variety of reasons, ranging from the configuration of U.S. refineries to artificial production and transport constraints such as the Jones Act to all those blocked pipeline projects and bans on fracking. New Yorkers are not alone in paying a high price for the stupidity and cowardice of Andrew Cuomo. U.S. imports of Russian oil ticked up beginning in 2019 as sanctions on the Maduro regime took Venezuelan oil off the U.S. market. One Russian export, a semi-refined oil called Mazut 100, is a workable substitute for the heavy crude we had been importing from Venezuela before then. The replacement of Venezuelan imports by Russian imports was an unintended, though not unforeseeable, consequence of those sanctions, one that the Trump administration should have anticipated and taken into account. But in that matter as in so many others, the Trump administration was amateurish and short-sighted. The Maduro junta has not mellowed in the passing years. It is as bad as ever. But Nicolás Maduro's troops are not currently engaged in mass murder in Ukraine or threatening our NATO allies with nuclear blackmail. And so the basic geopolitical question is, should the United States throw a lifeline to the worst tyrant in the Western Hemisphere in order to undermine an even worse tyrant in Europe? The Biden administration already is reaching out to Caracas, where officials describe the initial conversation as cordial and respectful. I'll bet it is. And Maduro's isn't the only tyrannical tuchus that requires kissing. President Joe Biden is said to be planning a personal trip to Riyadh to beg Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to ramp up Saudi production. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates may merit some presidential attention, too.